On the face of it, digital seems to give us a much more opportunity to measure the impact of our communications. There are a couple of issues with that though. First of all, we can only measure the digital part of that journey. We can't measure what's happened to people before that digital journey. So what is the effect of traditional channels on bringing them online in the first place? The second part is that it's difficult to measure sales when you're not an online brand. So manufactured products, FMCG products, are typically bought in retailers. So again, we're having to link what people do online, what they see online, with what they purchase in store. There are lots of different things that happen online, and trying to disentangle those different elements is also a difficulty. But within the Aegis network, we're developing a technique and using advanced statistical techniques, things like vector autoregression, in order to start to understand the relative role of those different elements. Trying to understand that it's not a linear process from people seeing advertising and then buying the product. It's seeing advertising, it's talking about it online, it's going to the website, it's going back online, it's twittering. It's all of these different factors that happen in a sort of a viral, a sort of a spiral type of way that again makes it difficult to measure. So we're having to adapt our measurement techniques in order to pick up those individual elements of the online campaign. And we are seeing that pound for pound, typically online video advertising is giving higher ROIs than TV, for instance, where the same ad is used, so we can control for the effectiveness of different creatives. We see on average a better ROI for online video. But when we delve deeper into that data, what we find is that a lot of that is cost driven. It's a lot cheaper at the moment to reach people through online advertising than it is to reach them through TV. So that is what's driving the higher ROI. And if online becomes more popular and the demand increases, then obviously the cost will go up, and some of that advantage in ROI will be lost, and we'll start to see online coming down to the same sort of level as TV. So at the moment, where we've been able to measure it, it does seem to be giving a better return for each unit invested, but that's a cost-driven advantage which may disappear if demand was to increase. So although we do see better ROIs for a lot of digital campaigns, when you work through the analysis, we're usually finding 15 to 20% of budgets should go on to a digital campaign. So if you are an online brand, the equation is very different, and the effectiveness of online can be very different. So it will vary from brand to brand, and it will vary from time to time as well. But typically we're looking at around that 20, 30, 40% range as a typical sort of budget that will go online. The biggest factor, which a lot of clients don't realise, is purely the size of their brand. Bigger brands are more well known, and they get better response to their advertising. Second in the list is the creative and the quality of the creative. So how good is your ad at getting your brand name across? How good is it at generating interest in your brand and stimulating your consumers to go out and try or purchase the product? After that, we get a whole range of different media-related factors that clients can use to impact the profitability of their advertising. So I'm thinking about how you allocate your media budget across the different options that you have, and those options are obviously the weeks of the year. How do you lay them down week by week? Is it better to bunch your advertising up into a burst or spread it into a continuity campaign? How you allocate that budget between the different channels at your disposal, so the traditional channels like TV and press, or some of the online channels. How do we split our budget between those? For bigger brands that have a portfolio of brands, how do you allocate your budget between that portfolio, or even the variance within that portfolio? And then for international brands, how do you allocate your budget across different countries? And while no individual one of those is as big as the creative, cumulatively, when you start to add them together, you start to see that that is an important part of the media planning process, and making sure that you get the best returns from your media. Then you get down to factors which on their own are smaller. So which audience should I advertise to? Should I concentrate on a more specific audience that are more relevant to my brand? That might improve the sales effectiveness of my advertising, but typically you'll pay more for that concentrated plan. So you might push the sales up, but also push the cost up. But it still, in general, will have an impact. And factors like quality programming. Should I go into programs that are more relevant to my brand or more in line with my brand? Again, that can have an impact, maybe small on its own, but certainly worth considering.